What is going on, everybody? It's episode 850 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my returning co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary. I am happy to be back, and the volume is back up to blaring levels on these headphones, just like it should be.
Yeah,
I think all is right in the world.
Aiden had to turn them down.
Yeah, I mean, normal people tend to.
Why is it that you like your headphones so loud anyways?
It feels intense, like we're bringing the energy, we're yelling, everything is loud.
I did, I did one episode of IRL one time because, like, nobody was wearing their headphones. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll not wear my headphones. Tim was gone. I think Phil was
I never
running it.
do on IRL because it's just a different situation. When I'm on this show, I feel like more. I mean, I am more interested in what we talk about on this show. To be honest,
here for me, it's like I have to to focus. I need headphones on to maybe my brain is just so fried that if I don't have the headphones on, then I hear this outside the room, and then my brain goes there for 3 minutes while everybody's talking. So I need the show to be locked in via headphone.
Before we get any further, we do have a $20 super chat from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett and Mary. Welcome back from your door-to-door mission to spread the word of the gongo, Mary. Thank you. When any show host is out, it's still good, but is missing that je ne sais quoi from the usual gang. I agree. But we're back into the swing of things today, and I'm happy because I realize even just over weekends or breaks anytime that I'm off the show, I do realize I need this outlet.
For stuff you want to talk about?
I see things going on in the world, and I do have opinions to share, so I'm glad to be back and have this outlet again.
That means you were made for this type of work.
Exactly, yes. And I also want to tell you, like I always do, that I watched a movie on my flight.
Of course, on the plane, the only place she wants to watch movies.
As you do.
That was very millennial of you.
I watched Y2K, which we talked about before it came out. It has Rachel Zegler, and then who was that kid from Stranger Things that nobody cares about? Yeah, I don't remember his name, but Rachel Zegler was in it. She didn't sing, she just acted, which is interesting.
I'm sure that hurt her to her soul.
And basically a bunch of teenagers in New Year's Eve, 1999 to 2000, they team up with Fred Durst, no spoilers, to save the world from the singularity. And then I guess at the end, Fred Durst becomes a senator or something.
Okay. You know, I mean, if I was to think of a celebrity who kind of uniquely imbued with the vibe of 1999, Fred Durst is up there.
Yeah.
Was he wearing a red hat?
He was wearing a hat.
Not
it
red?
might have been red.
Okay.
He was playing Fred Durst
himself
in 2000 though, which was weird because he
old?
looks old. So I don't know if they were able to de-age him with some new
I don't think they're gonna
but,
spend the money to do that.
Yeah, he just looked like Fred Durst now.
Well, I mean, 2 years from now they'll just do that with AI.
I mean, he didn't look that bad, but they had the bootcut jeans, and it wasn't that bad when it came to nostalgia bait. I guess I wouldn't be able to tell because I didn't grow up then, but
were all of the rooms wood paneled?
There was a lot of wood paneling.
That was already on its way out. That was a relic of the 80s and into the 90s.
They showed...
My basement had lots of wood paneling.
Yeah. They showed AOL Instant Messenger, of course. But there wasn't a lot of... I don't know. They didn't have what most Zoomers think of as Y2K aesthetic.
Yeah.
They showed something more realistic, I think, which credit to them for that.
On any given day, one day, if I watch that movie, I would say, oh, that was so good of them. They didn't fall for the nostalgia bait. They didn't use a fake idea like Stranger Things of what it was like to live in that time period. They actually showed you what it was like. And then on another day, I'd be this is bullshit. It's it's too real. I don't want it to be real.
We have another 20 from Weary Traveler just saying Mary with the little that thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for welcoming me back. I also wanted to mention I had major matcha regret on the plane, which might have painted my experience of the movie. I thought, Starbucks needs to give me more matcha. I'm going to ask for extra matcha in this one. And it just turned into a bitter chalky mess.
Ugh.
And it wasn't enjoyable, but I forced myself to drink it anyway.
I'm going to have to do that too because I'm going to see Ballerina tonight. And I'm so tired that I'm going to have to like actually like try and take a nap when I get home. Yeah.
Your eyes
well, no,
open.
I have now just accepted the fact that the best movie is like the movie that starts 5 minutes after I take my little nap when I get there.
You start the nap during previews?
Hopefully. Yeah.
Okay.
You get the nap out of the way and then you're locked in. Like that's the definition of locked in. Is I wake back up, there's like remnants of drunken fries.
Yeah.
And then you just
You're
go.
just in a stupor from the fries and the 30-minute nap. One more thing, which again I forgot to mention last week. I met Gene Simmons in DC.
Yeah,
like,
you forgot to like.
How
you
did
mentioned
I forget to mention
You mentioned it after the fact to me like days later.
Yes, I forgot even to tell you off air, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should have like told everybody on the show. Like that would be so funny. I met Gene Simmons like because it was during this Memorial Day parade that they had going on in DC, and he just happened to be like walking in the parade casually, and then he had this like manager, like handler guy walking behind him, and he was like, if you want a picture, you got to keep walking with him, walk with him.
His
and
very own Harley Pasternak.
I wasn't able to snap a picture with myself and Gene Simmons, so I don't have any proof, but that did happen.
That's okay.
And it was funny. And also, he looks like he got a lot of work done.
Yeah, there you go. Dingus Khan in the chat says 2 monsters for Brett. Actually, it's been a week since I've had like an energy drink, and I've been nursing the same 5-hour energy since Monday. I never need it when I'm doing the show without you because there's just so much going on. Because we're not going back and forth. I don't need it. I'm kept awake by pure like stuff to do. Whereas, like, it's a little bit different when it's me and you. So I've been nursing the same 5-hour
That's
energy.
another thing on my mental list here. Chrissy Mayer was here, and I didn't get to be in town for that, which is such a shame.
I asked her, I said, like, if you want, we could ask and see if they could move it to Thursday, but she had to get back.
Well, of course, because she has the baby and everything. I understand. But it would have been so fun if I were on for that episode. She'll be back eventually. But yeah, I hope that everyone survived without me.
Just barely. Like they were only kind of mean to me.
Okay. Well, no rudeness to Brett. That's not fair.
So guys, it's a little bit of a longer intro, but hit the like button on this video.
I had to get some things off my chest.
Fine.
Okay,
that is fine. We make time for it here. Hit the like button on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here, both on YouTube and on Rumble, and share the video out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, everybody in your life. Even if you have a mortal enemy, or just maybe somebody you just see every day and you dislike, you should share this with them, and then you can argue about the show, preferably in the comments.
Guys,
to bolster engagement.
if you're in public and you have an iPhone, just airdrop the show to someone in whatever, like, dentist waiting room. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you like one of my I have a lot of irrational fears when it comes to like work. One of them is like when I go either like into the IRL studio, my phone wants to connect to the TV in there. And I do have this fear that my like some YouTube video I'm watching is just gonna show up on the monitor while the show is going on.
You gotta like turn off AirPlay though.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I mean I don't know how that works for my Android, but like,
I see.
But like the point is, I'm like what's gonna happen is like they're gonna be talking about something really important. It's like, and that's why Trump and Elon are mad at each other. And my TV is gonna be like, this is a 4.5-hour retrospective of The Wire. Like, and that's the least embarrassing thing that could show up.
That would be funny.
That would be.
I hope it happens one day.
It's
like
I don't want that to
another
happen.
weird nightmare. Like you've told me you've had like weird dreams about IRL, right?
Yeah. Like you like well, because maybe it's because it's like like the old IRL was in a house, so I would I imagine I would accidentally walk in there in the middle of the show and look like around like, huh.
You're like
See,
sleepwalking.
here's the thing: like if Ian does that, it's endearing. If I do that, it's a problem.
Right. Exactly.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Right. Sometimes when you're Ian, they let you do it.
Exactly. So guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video out with everybody that you know. So what are we talking about today? We got a bunch of stuff to get into. Sabrina Carpenter, because she's a woman.
Whoa.
Just kidding. She has made a revenge song about her ex, Barry Keoghan, which,
Her rodent man.
Her rodent boyfriend person, baby dad. It's not her baby daddy.
No,
He's somebody else's baby daddy.
He's somebody else's baby daddy, but she wrote this song called Manchild, which has become a misandrist anthem for
women
Gen Z
can't
women.
let go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these hoes ain't loyal. So we're going to talk about that. Also, remember like 2023 when The Little Mermaid came out and Halle Bailey was everywhere? Well, she's back in the news, and this story is absolutely insane. She's going through a custody battle with her
Her baby daddy.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to say that. But the father of her son,
yes,
Halo, and the text messages that have come out are absolutely insane. The stories that have come out are absolutely insane. We're going to get into all of it. It's a lot of he said, she said. So we're going to talk about that. Also, somebody posed a very interesting question the other day on X. They asked, what the hell happened to Pixar? And they posted a picture from Turning Red and a picture from The Incredibles. And they said, what the hell has happened to Pixar? Just the other day, I did a video about, the upcoming release of Elio, which is going to open to like $35 to $45 million on a budget of $300 million because it got delayed like 10,000 times. And Pixar is in general languishing without John Lasseter. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you are ready, Mary, we can just go ahead and get started. Are you ready?
I am ready.
She's ready.
Let's go.
Well, guys, I hate to break it to you, but hell has frozen over. Marvel did the meme. This is the new Black Panther. And it's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy named Katima, who is the son of T'Challa.
I have a lot of questions. So obviously,
I'm not going to know the answer. So again, before we even get started, this is Marvel Comics. This is not Marvel movies. We don't talk about Marvel Comics on here very much because, one, it doesn't interest a whole lot of people these days. Even the comics channels say that videos about comics are languishing. But this is the definition of stunt marketing because everybody is talking about this. And Ryan Gosling is waiting by his phone for his call to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He from Kevin Feige as we speak.
So this is from Marvel Knights #1, The World to Come, and it's being written by Christopher Priest, and the art is being done by Joe Quesada. I almost called him Jose Quesada. It's Joe Quesada, which are both legendary figures in Marvel. So Christopher Priest is a legendary comic book writer who has written Black Panther in the past. He's actually, if you remember, he's kind of got a reputation for, he got really upset at the comic book industry because they would call him to write stuff and they'd always want him to write black characters. And he's like, just because I'm black doesn't mean that I can only write black characters. He went on to do multiple great runs of lots of different characters, Deathstroke being one of the most important. And so this is being done in a way where you think that it's this, but I knew as soon as I read this headline that he was going to be a villain. And as far as I'm concerned, that's perfectly fine. It makes perfect sense to me. It doesn't change the fact that what happens here, at least from what I read, because this is these were like preview issues, is that he challenges his father to combat in Wakanda and beats him.
Well, T'Challa dies on the second page of this comic book, but they then flash back to the events that led up to his death, and he, first off, his baby mama dies. He wants to continue his legacy.
Storm dies. Well, no, that's not his baby mama because this is not Storm's child.
Right.
So that's that. And plus, calling Storm baby mama is just rude.
His wife dies.
Yes.
He wants to continue his legacy. He sires a child with Monica Lynn.
Which, from what I understand, from what I was told, is a black woman. So that doesn't make any sense why this guy would have blonde hair and blue eyes.
But I assume they will eventually address that. So then his son, possibly illegitimate son, Katima, he unmasks himself. He takes the throne from his father after battle and reveals that he has blonde hair and he has blue eyes and he looks kind of like Ryan Gosling.
And this, by the way, this is not a what if. I almost said Elseworld. That's DC. This is not a what if storyline. This is in the 616 continuity. So this is the main Marvel Comics timeline.
But that's why I was confused because I remember in Wakanda Forever, the end of that movie is so soap opera-esque. They reveal T'Challa's baby mama and his child, and obviously they are both black in the movie, and I was like, does this imply that canonically T'Challa has multiple baby mamas? Like, what's going on? And obviously this is not going to get picked up for any real like MCU movie or TV show.
Here's the thing. I think if they gave it time to sit and then people sit with the idea that he's a villain, they would absolutely look to bring this guy in, maybe down the line.
Well, I don't know, because based on
the
blowback, I doubt that. A lot of people were very angry at this. One said,
look,
Black Panther having a white son would be ridiculous.
I've been told that it's a mantle, so it doesn't matter. You just have to pass the mantle on. I do want to stress that I do think that this is stunt marketing, and I don't think that the idea was ever going to be to keep him obviously as the Black Panther. Nobody believes that, and even if it was, it would be stupid. I was listening to something earlier, and I was trying to think of, like, when was the last time that they race swapped a black character to make it a white character? And I think Neon from Clownfish TV is right. The only one that I could think of off the top of my head would be Baxter Stockman from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's like, we're talking back in the 80s.
Okay.
Like, and because then when it came later.
It's obviously not considered acceptable the other way around.
I think that this is great stunt marketing because Marvel knows that they need to make money right now. They're also bringing back the Punisher and the Punisher logo, which they had kind of disavowed for years because the wrong type of people like the Punisher and the wrong type of people think the Punisher logo is cool.
Meaning Republicans?
Or just dudes with testosterone.
Dudes who back the blue.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to just be that. It could just be that is the thing, though.
That
it became
specifically cops adopted the logo, and not a lot of them even knew the origin of it. They just thought it looked cool.
Yeah, it's a skull. It looks cool.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. I was taken by this quote from Christopher Priest. I was reading this interview he did about this, and he says, "Our obligation was to the fans who are reading the book, and we should stop turning ourselves inside out trying to attract those who are not." He's right. You should stop looking for the phantom new audience, the modern audience, that magical new demographic of people who are going to finally start buying your comics. You should be telling stories that they want to see. Now, he does talk a lot also about how subversion is not a bad thing, because subversion in storytelling wasn't always just like, when people think of the idea of subverting expectations now, they think of just race and gender swaps. But that's not what he was talking about in this interview. He was talking about the history of the character of T'Challa and how he took on different iterations from different comic book writers and creators. So he kind of gets in the weeds about what subversion actually means on an artistic level, which I thought was really, really interesting and fun. But let's face it, what most people want right now is for a post-credit scene to show up and Ryan Gosling takes off the helmet.
Would Ryan Gosling take the hit?
I don't think he would do it. Here's the thing. He doesn't need the money. And he is also, the best thing about that meme is that he transcends that character, because they also use him for MLK is Obama, or Ryan Gosling is Obama. Ryan Gosling is Martin Luther King Jr. He has become the stand-in for the idea of race swapping a black character for a white guy.
Right. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Why Ryan
I have
Gosling?
No idea. I don't know what it is.
Because he's just the most obvious blonde-haired, blue-eyed actor out there, I guess.
I did see this. It says this is Black Marvel fans erupt after new Black Panther is revealed as white. It says it's just a fictional character. Crowd is on life support right now.
There was another tweet that was specifically about Christopher Priest saying, if there would be any writer who would try to give the Black Panther mantle to a white person, of course it would be Christopher Priest, the man who made it his job to shove white characters into Wakanda's mythos. LOL.
He talks about that in his he talks about that in that interview about how in past runs that he wanted to expand Wakanda and introduce other now he didn't say white, he said other elements of the Marvel timeline, of the 616 timeline, into Wakanda, whereas what Joe Quesada wanted to do was to keep the story insular about the people in the culture. And he says, like, looking back on it, Joe was probably right.
Wait, so if I understand correctly, Christopher Priest is a black writer?
Yes, he is.
So that's so funny. There were these people saying, stop letting non-black people touch Black Panther. They do silly stuff like this. And then people were like, the author is
he
black.
he wrote Black Panther years ago, before Ta-Nehisi Coates and all that, and so yeah, it's very very funny. I do recommend. I don't have it pulled up here, but there's so the article in Comic Book Movie has a link to this interview that he did, and it's really really good. Like, you get an idea of just how smart this guy is, how long he's been working in the business. Like I said, he felt back in the day when they started only calling him to write black characters, he purposely went and took on characters that were not that. He went and wrote Deathstroke and did long runs at that. So it's very, very cool. I think it's funny.
Is this the next obvious move now that Jonathan Majors is out of the picture to revitalize the Black Panther
like, who's the actor?
franchise?
Who's the actor who played Aquaman's brother in
the last one?
In the last one? I forget that actor's name.
Oh my gosh.
He's looking like that guy.
Who was that?
I forget.
guy?
It's something Owen. It's not Owen. I don't remember
Wait.
that. I don't remember. He was also in. He's been in a bunch of other stuff, but I can't remember his name. I just think that it's very very interesting.
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Patrick Wilson.
Oh, he looks like the character
yeah,
too.
he absolutely does. You hire Patrick Wilson to play this guy.
Perfect.
He goes straight from DC to Marvel.
Maybe this is the next move for them.
Look, they're hurting for money. Everybody needs to make money right now. Right now, like, Marvel's got like panels coming up at conventions, and people are gonna have a whole bunch of questions about this stuff. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was funny. But again, he's not going to be Black Panther. He's going to be a bad guy, and more stuff will be revealed down the line. But it's very, very funny. All right, let's move on then.
Meghan Markle's privacy has been violated once again as a consequence of her posting online. She posted a tribute for her daughter Lilibet's 4th birthday, starring herself. She was like, how can I make my daughter's birthday about me? And it was a video from back when she was about to give birth to Lilibet in the delivery room, twerking. She was twerking to induce labor, and then you see Prince Harry jump into the shot and join in the twerking, and this is now being called her baby mama dance because of the song that she added as the audio for the video.
When I see this, like, the horror story of this is like, this happens, he joins in and she gets the ick and leaves him.
Yeah. So
let's watch this video here.
This is it.
Don't do that, baby mama. Drop it.
Like, bro, why are you in the shot?
Well, I mean, what's the other version of this? She's doing this and he's just sitting there like this.
I mean, I would prefer not to see either of them twerk, but I don't see why he needs to twerk to induce labor.
I did see people saying that this was actually a good thing, that dancing releases oxytocin and it's good for pregnancy.
Okay, here was her explanation in her Instagram caption. 4 years ago today, this happened. Both of our children were a week past their due dates, so when spicy food, all that walking, and acupuncture didn't work, there was only one thing left to do. Laughing emoji. So I guess they were advised. This was the
birthday post for the child?
This was on her daughter's birthday. This was a video from when she was minutes away from going into labor with her daughter.
I don't actually.
From back in 2021.
This is where I feel like she's never gonna win, because I don't have anything wrong with this. I think, like, we live in it, like, maybe on another day I'd be like, why would you film this and post it? But we live in an era now where this is what happens. People film silly moments and they post them on the internet, and she's behind the 8 ball because people don't like her personality, and it's tied directly to the fact that they kept asking for privacy.
Look, I know
but I don't hate this.
That this is normal. I just think that it shouldn't be. I don't think that moments like this should be shared. I think that maybe if you're so concerned with your privacy, you shouldn't post.
I'm guessing
things that are just for your
after.
family to see.
Yeah. Did they ever like officially like renounce that? They're like, we have changed our minds. We do not want privacy.
Well, this was another detail they added. Meghan Markle usually only shares photos of her daughter pictured from behind to protect her daughter's privacy. But then when she posts a video of herself twerking in the delivery room, I guess that doesn't count as invading her privacy. There was also the controversy about them choosing the nickname Lilibet for their daughter Elizabeth because it was originally the childhood family nickname for Queen Elizabeth. And Queen Elizabeth was, prior to her death, reportedly very angry at them stealing that nickname for themselves.
Oh.
So that was a point of controversy. People are also responding to this twerking video saying that it proves the conspiracy theory that Meghan Markle was never pregnant.
So you want to re-explain this to everybody? So a lot of people believe that she wore a fake baby bump and that she was never actually pregnant, which is crazy because when you think about it, plenty of people on the internet, especially on the right, hate surrogacy to begin with. So it's not just surrogacy; it would have been stolen valor and surrogacy.
Right, exactly. It's pregnancy fishing.
Yeah.
So I have brought this up on the show before because it's a common conspiracy theory among Meghan Markle's haters that she pretended to be pregnant while the couple hired a surrogate for their second child, or possibly both.
Like, that is crazy work because if you get caught, you're done, like, forever.
Yeah, that would
like
be
there's
a
not
disaster.
there's not a whole lot that can like end a career, but that might be one of the things where it's like, because a lot of people already have an issue with surrogacy to start with, but then to like fake the pregnancy would have been bonkers.
Well, Daily Mail is shady because Daily Mail is definitely one of the leading Meghan Markle hate bandwagoners, and they reported on the conspiracy theory saying, conspiracy theorists push bizarre claims that Meghan Markle's baby bump is fake in twerking video that made the world cringe. A group of Twitter critics have made the extraordinary claim that the dancing video was faked and made on a film set or could be AI generated. They have poured over it in order to make wild and unhinged claims about her, including that her pregnancy was faked and that she wore a prosthetic pregnant belly known as a moon bump.
They rented out like a porn set to do this.
They're claiming, based on the equipment that is visible in the video, that this was not in a labor ward. Several claimed, without credible evidence, that her bump was either too high or the wrong shape.
It's like a dentist chair.
Others said that her ability to dance that way at 9 months meant that she was either superhuman or not pregnant at all. And some people did comment saying, you know, I've had 5 children. My wife, when she was minutes away from giving birth, could have never danced so well. And I mean, maybe they're just complimenting her dancing skills.
That's a great compliment right there.
Yeah. I don't subscribe to that conspiracy theory, but I am willing to for entertainment purposes. Mm-hmm. But it just rings to me as classless and trashy to post anything like that. Regardless of whether you're twerking while pregnant or not pregnant, I don't think you should be posting that online. If this is a video that you and your husband made because you were having fun welcoming a new child, keep that to yourself. That's where it belongs, in your camera roll, not on your Instagram
I mean,
feed.
that's a whole nother discussion to have about what it even means to shoot videos and photos of your family now, because nobody actually, like back in the day when you took photos on a regular camera, you never imagined them as something that would, like, maybe at your wedding and your funeral is where those photos got seen by the general public until MySpace or whatever became popular, and suddenly people were like scanning their photos in to share them with people. And there is a little bit of a hypocrisy from everybody, because, like, look, if you're going to share anything online, you are doing it for maybe it's not narcissism, but it's self-indulgent reasons.
Well, there was a video of a bunch of people waiting for New Year's Eve in Paris when they light up the Eiffel Tower. And you could see in the video that everyone there had their phone out to record a video of the Eiffel Tower flashing as soon as it was midnight. And you just think, can't you just implant that into your own memories by watching it with your eyeballs?
If anything,
you don't need the video.
If anything, like I worry that I don't take enough of like any of the important stuff that happens in life. So we're collecting a lot of photos for the wedding, and even then it feels like I don't take enough photos of us doing things.
Well, I would understand it if maybe you were taking a picture of yourself and, you know, your spouse, fiance, whatever, in front of the Eiffel Tower. Like, that's you guys doing something. But clearly all the people in that viral video were taking the video to post on social media, not for their own memories. And there was also this very disturbing video of a family walking into a delivery room after a baby had just been born to meet the baby for the first time. And these grandparents, relatives, they were all walking in with their phones recording, and they were looking at the baby for the first time through the screen.
Yeah.
Just like they would if it were posted online, and that's the first time they see their grandchild. And you just think some moments have to be sacred, including these. I also wanted to just give Meghan Markle credit because she invented twerking in the delivery room before Sexy Red ever did so.
She walked so that Sexy Red could twerk.
Yes, Meghan Markle twerked so that Sexy Red could twerk in the delivery room.
Or would it be Meghan Markle danced so that Sexy Red could twerk?
Meghan Markle was definitely twerking in that video, but this is
no
from,
music for this.
Yeah, this is from 2024, back when Sexy Red uploaded a music video for her song "Bow Bow Bow F My Baby Dad," and she is seen
literally the lyrics
in her hospital gown in the delivery room prior to giving birth, twerking on the hospital bed and flashing her tits out of the hospital window. And she also posted a photo shoot from inside the delivery room.
I feel like there's a lack of creativity here. Like, she could be using those, like, sticks, those tongue depressor sticks and flicking in the air instead of the money. It would have been more interesting.
There's also this abhorrent photo shoot that she posted at the time. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, why is it different when Meghan Markle does it? It's not different. It's the same thing, but Sexy Red got all the backlash.
Yeah.
It's equally trashy no matter who is doing it.
I think she had already given birth in that they said for the Sexy Red one. She did this after she gave birth.
Got it.
I think.
So. Still, just sad that this is like what is promoted.
Look, I think Meghan Markle can't win. And I don't have a problem about this one
Look,
today.
it's just if you're gonna drop it low in the delivery room, just don't share it on Instagram.
It does kind of look fake.
You think the bump looks fake? Are you about to join the conspiracy
Here's
theorists?
the thing. Maybe I just I don't have any baby mamas, so I'm not around pregnant bellies. So, you know.
It is quite large. She also claimed recently that she gained 65 pounds during her pregnancy with either her son or her daughter, or maybe both, which is a lot of weight to gain. Normally, like, that is definitely on the high end, especially for someone who is her height. That is quite a lot, and people also cited that as evidence that she faked her pregnancies. Because definitely that is hard to believe, especially seeing the photos of her leaving the hospital where she looked like she was not overweight.
I don't believe this is fake. I'm not that far out there on the ledge. I have my Mountain Dew conspiracy from yesterday, and that's the most that I've got. I believe that Mountain Dew predicts catastrophic events in the country or in the world, and that's about it.
Look, this is cringy, this is trashy, this is classless. But I do believe that Meghan Markle actually gave birth. For what it's worth, I think that she was telling the truth about that. Most of what her life is, as she presents it to be, is fake. That, I think we don't need to subscribe to the conspiracy theory.
Okay. All right. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day first? And we've got 2 cringes today.
Should we do a little sandwich of cringe, cute, cringe?
We'll do that. All right. So we'll start with the...
I understand Olivia was providing the cringe the last few days, and it was more like nightmare fuel.
She's got another one here today. So she
is it
said,
worse than the cow udder?
She actually said that, like, this is the worst out of all of them. Oh. So you can make a judgment for yourself.
All right.
Whether this is as bad. So it says things you have to do as a cat girl or boy.
All right.
Things you have to do as a cat girl.
Or boy.
Number 1, you have to get used to loafing.
Loafing? I don't think I like this idea. Yup, I definitely don't like this.
I do. Number 2, you have to get used to cleaning yourself.
Like this?
No, like this.
I'm sorry, but the Punisher shirt is sending me right now. Like, is this who Marvel meant when they said that the wrong people liked Punisher?
Yeah,
Number 3, you have to know
She's in the, Olivia's in the chat. She says, "I'm so sorry."
how to do happy paws.
Happy paws? What's that? I don't get this.
Don't worry, you'll get it someday. Number 4, you have to know how to meow to get the human's attention.
We don't like humans.
Yes, we do!
Meow, meow.
No, it needs to come from your heart. Meow, meow. Perfect. Make sure to like, comment, and share if you would also like to be a cat girl.
Or boy.
Meow.
He got it at the end there.
I think the worst part was the purring. No need to be sorry, Olivia. You accomplished exactly what you were supposed to do.
Okay.
5 stars.
Let's do cute of the day. And this one is very cute. So it was a hard day for Princess Euphema. Thankfully, the chivalrous Peter Picklebottom was there to comfort her after her spay appointment.
Aw. Well, I like seeing real cats. That's great.
Those are actual.
Aw.
Oh, it's so
They
cute.
love each other.
It's so cute. Okay.
Okay, we have another cringe.
We do. Oh, did
This
you
is
get- Yesterday we got to I don't remember who it was that super chatted, but we showed Chrissy Mayer the July 4th or the Pride Month Raytheon video from Cities by Diana, the Lockheed Raytheon
I
video.
love that.
Yeah,
Festive.
that should be a yearly thing.
Yeah.
So here we go.
This is when, okay, if you don't have Hinge, they have audio prompts where you can put in a voice note to answer a question. This is that.
Okay, here we go.
Me a comment if you're up for a cheeky drink.
All right, this is my impression of Patrick Starr.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Let's talk about mental health and therapy and stigmas surrounding those things.
Wait, so somebody leaked this stuff? I'm not a fan of the leaking.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be a healthy and healed dude, and I want to communicate with you.
I'm on these guys' side. I don't care how cringe they are. Whoever leaked them's a piece of shit.
Well, yes.
Like,
but
embrace your cringe, and this
is
woman,
really-
I'm assuming it's a woman unless all of these men are gay.
if they asked me for advice on improving their dating profiles, these would be gone.
Like, okay, so maybe if like every message came with like your call might be recorded for quality assurance purposes and maybe used for training, then it's like, this is how to train somebody not to get a date on Hinge. Olivia in the chat asked to give an update on Mocha, which we will do. So if you guys don't know, Mocha was at the vet just today, and she had some imaging studies done, and she had like imaging done, and they think that Mocha has a tumor, and we have to go back in a month to have Mocha to have another set of images taken to see if it's benign or if it's going to progress and get worse. So please keep Mocha in your thoughts, guys.
Prayers up for Mocha.
Mocha had, we were like, it's very, very sad, and Mocha had to have her stomach shaved for this. And we love her no matter what, even with her shaved tummy looking silly. But yeah, we're gonna keep her in your prayers, and we're gonna get her checked out in a month, and hopefully everything is okay.
We hope she gets well soon.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get started.
Sabrina Carpenter is marking the end of her short and sweet era with a lead single to her upcoming album, and it's called Manchild. This single is a misandrist anthem for Gen Z women in Sabrina Carpenter's audience, because it is targeted at her ex-boyfriend, the actor Barry Keoghan, who allegedly cheated on Sabrina Carpenter, leading to the disastrous end of their relationship, which was quite recent. This says it's generating significant interest due to the potential to be a misandrist anthem, suggested by some of the teaser billboards that read as you can see in these examples, I swear they choose me. I'm not choosing them.
There's nothing a woman is more allergic to than personal accountability.
And then this next one says amen. And then the next one says, hey men. Got it? Yeah. And then of course the title, Manchild.
Am I the only one who's just kind of shocked that they're using billboards to advertise a Gen Z artist's music?
What does the first one mean, though? That's what I'm wondering. I swear
What?
they choose me. I'm not choosing them.
She's absolving herself from any responsibility for the horrible taste in men that she has. See, they can date horrible men who treat them badly a lot. The thing is, though, eventually, like if you date one guy and he's a bad person and he treats you horribly, people are going to be sympathetic. But if you're on guy 27 and they all treat you horribly, at a certain point, you're going to have to take responsibility for your absolutely abhorrent taste in men.
That's what they call Taylor Swift syndrome.
Yes.
You know, you might be the common denominator. And I don't know whether this is true, but Barry Keoghan has been accused of being an absent father to his child that he had with a previous woman. I just feel like the red flags were there and they were disregarded. So maybe you should just take a look at your own behavior instead of accusing him of being, 100% to blame.
It's crazy how much people are willing. I don't know if it's a lack of introspection or taking stock of what's going on in your life right now or what you want for the future. But I see so much of these stories. Maybe it's because they're celebrities, and I'm sure it exists in the real world, where you're like, how did you not see the problems here before you got there?
Yeah, but
It's going to come up in the second.
I said the
story,
same
too.
thing about the wizard Liz. She probably ignored the signs. She admitted that she ignored the red flags because she just believed that she was magically in this manifested relationship with her dream man.
I don't even see. Here's the thing. I don't even know if I buy that they saw those red flags when it happened. I think that your brain tricks you into it and you retroactively see them and you think that you saw them before, and really you're just not as self-aware and as aware of what you want as you should be.
Well, that's the...
It feels actually more like a coat, because what it's doing is that it's putting the onus on them. It's kind of like taking responsibility for your own actions, but what it's really saying is, I saw the red flags, but he was so good that he tricked me. When really, you're just too dumb to understand the problem before you even get there.
Well, that's the phenomenon of infatuation, which disguises itself as love. And you fall in love not with the person you are with, but with the way that person makes you feel about yourself. So it's really just an exercise in narcissism. But she also posted this promo video of her in the desert hitchhiking in extremely small hot pants.
Can I ask what this... I mean, that's not the first thing I see here. The first thing I see here is, what the hell is that aspect ratio? It's like not 4:3, but it's not... I don't know what that is. Okay, sorry. That's my brain. Here we go.
Is this
the one that we need to listen to the music on?
There's no music.
Okay, good.
Yeah. This was her promo video for the single.
She's like, but why do I attract the wrong men?
She's trying to hitchhike to a bunch of truckers in the desert. If you're considering doing this, just don't.
Don't do it.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
That was it.
Yeah.
And then she also captioned the announcement, "This one's about you," which I assume is targeted at Barry Keoghan as well. Another excerpt from the lyrics of the song, which comes out tonight, says, I'm not going to say this part, but GD Manchild, you effed me so good that I almost said I love you. And then...
Wait, so she's complimenting him now too?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but what she doesn't understand is bro's just going to get props from his friends and laugh the whole time.
Still hit, though.
The weird friends, the weird stands online are not going to bother him because that's not his audience anyways. His friends are other celebrities and art nerds who are like closet misogynists, right? They play male feminists, but really behind the scenes are like, bro, did you hear that song? She was low-key complimenting you.
That's the ultimate comeback, is that, Barry Keoghan still hit though.
Yeah.
So he won in the end. He got what he wanted, and you didn't.
The meme is like, there's way too many baby mamas out there for me to
Yeah.
believe that women's intuition is an actual thing.
Sabrina Carpenter's exclusive vinyl for the single Manchild also features a second track titled Inside of Your Head When You've Just Won an Argument with a Man. So Sabrina Carpenter is in the shower having shower arguments with Barry Keoghan and winning all of them.
Hell have been loca in the chat says, Mary, those are Lana lyrics, not real lyrics. It's a joke tweet.
Oh, from the TikTok audio?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I just think this shows he lives in your head rent free.
It's
It
like when-
doesn't get revenge on him at all. It doesn't like clap back at him for doing you wrong.
Anytime people post some type of social media, any content that's like clapping back at someone, they win automatically because you're admitting that it bothered you enough to make the content. Like, if you go online to say this doesn't bother me, it very clearly does because it took time to make it. It's even worse here because you had to hire like a cinematographer and a videographer and a video editor to tell somebody that he doesn't matter to you.
I've been trying to help these misandrists. I've been trying to give them advice on how to effectively dissociate themselves from men, especially back when the 4B movement was trending post-election. All of these women were swearing to their following on TikTok, we are not going to be sleeping with men, having children with men, marrying men, anything. We're not dating. We're completely living separate lives from the male population. But then I just thought this movement is going to peter out in like, I don't know, like a week when you feel like texting your ex for a dick appointment. All of these women are obsessed with men. So how is Manchild this misandrist anthem? You're not passing the Bechdel test.
No.
Like, you are constantly thinking about men, talking about men, singing about men. Your entire lives revolve around men. And, I mean, if we're really thinking about who's the real misandrist, I would say I'm a more veritable misandrist than any of these women because I don't let my life center around shitty guys who treat me like trash. Like,
I'll offer a little bit of pushback for her because she gets to monetize it.
True.
So monetizing it is a little bit different and it plays into her base. So she wins. He wins. It's the audience that loses because it pushes a message that's
Right.
counterproductive to society in a way in which, unless they're listening to her music and turning it into social media content, they're the losers.
see,
Music for women to sit in their to listen while driving in their car to their mid-level marketing job.
pop music used to be happy. It used to be about, you know, falling in love and
Or R&B
Nice
music
things.
specifically used to be about falling in love. Like,
now, like, all the music that's marketed to women is about, like, you're a boss bitch who don't need no man. You're beautiful no matter your size. You know, it's just, like, narcissistic garbage that nobody even believes deep down. And it doesn't empower women to constantly talk about how shitty men are.
yep.
Because you're only having a conversation about men.
Listen to
So-
old R&B music, and it was positively romantic most
Yeah.
of the time. Most of Brandy's music was romantic, "The Boy Is Mine" notwithstanding, but that's about fighting with other women, not
Yeah.
about being mad at the guy.
Still, you can sense the shift in tone
Yeah.
over time. And I suppose that Sabrina Carpenter has Barry Keoghan to thank for giving her
What was-
lyrical fodder.
What was that lyric again? You F.
That was the Lana
that was
lyric
the,
that they
oh,
mentioned
okay.
in
Never
the
mind.
chat.
Thank
But
goodness.
she used the lyric
Yeah.
in one of her promo videos on
Oh,
TikTok.
I mean, then that's still the
and
same thing as
directed it at
co-signing
him.
it. That's
Yes,
co-signing.
That
That's-
was essentially her saying that about Barry Keoghan.
He still wins.
Right,
He's-
exactly.
He's just like, bro. Like
Right? He's still
getting,
gonna get dapped
He's
up.
getting daps from his friends right now.
Exactly.
Yes. They're like, oh man, and you got out of there first. Let's go.
That's why people joke about Taylor Swift getting into short-term relationships just to fuel her songwriting.
Maybe I'll make a video sometime about all the R&B music that I like that's positively brimming with romance. Like, what happened? Like, we did a thing yesterday where I brought up Beyonce, and we were talking about I don't remember even what segment it was in, but it was about the idea of the kind of generic idea of what Hollywood and music started as being independent. Like, what does that even mean? Like, independent women. And then I was like, don't be Beyonce with single ladies. Be Beyonce with Destiny's Child with bills, which was about, making sure he's paying your bills.
Right. But then you have J-Lo with Love Don't Cost a Thing. And I just think, of course you would say that, J-Lo. You're rich.
Yeah, but back then, that was still a time of more aspirational ideas when it came to that type of music. It had not disintegrated as far as it's disintegrated now.
Well, this is the latest chapter in Lord's crash out in her promotion for her new album, Virgin. One of the singles on it is called Clear Blue.
Okay.
And she says the song is about the emotional thrill of having unprotected sex and then taking a pregnancy test and thinking about all the possibilities of how it'll turn out.
Is there a male corollary to this? I guess all male music about sleeping around would kind of like, is the guy version of this like you sleep around and then it's the thrill of wondering if the Plan B pill works?
Yeah, I don't think that's thrilling for those guys.
What is the
terrifying.
male version of this? I don't know if there is the same thing.
No, women are just fully crashing out right now.
All right, well, let's read some super chats.
Brian Bledsoe said, "Welcome back, Mary. Will you be at the TPUSA Women's Summit next week? Saw Pringles recently and said, look, it's potato paste." I'm glad to have educated all of you about the origin of
I knew nothing about
why
that.
Pringles are called crisps
Pringles
instead of
doing
chips.
too much these days with the flavors, though.
I am not planning to attend the Women's Leadership Summit, but that's unrelated from anything else.
And remember that you heard it here first from me, that it doesn't matter where you are in the world, it doesn't matter what time of day, it doesn't matter what political party you affiliate with, you will be somewhere near a women's summit somewhere in the world.
I just think Turning Point should make it equal and have a young men's leadership summit. You know?
Yeah.
Give the young men something to attend.
I saw your post. I think you responded to the quartering about Nala.
Yeah, they included Nala Ray, the former OnlyFans star, as one of the featured speakers at the Young Women's Leadership Summit, and a lot of people were
upset
giving
about
them some backlash for that because they don't think that she should be platformed as,
What are
a
your
role
thoughts?
model. I agreed with that take. I don't think that she should be featured as one of their speakers, especially because if you just think about the audience at an event like that for conservative young women, I don't think that any of those women need to hear that OnlyFans is a bad idea.
I wonder if maybe that would make more sense for like not young women who have not yet had time to mess everything up and then try to find redemption. But maybe that works more for like older people who are seeking redemption.
Perhaps.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not to say that she shouldn't
Yeah.
speak at conferences. It's that maybe this isn't the specific right conference.
Well, then
I don't know.
when I commented on it, people were saying that I am impugning her character and I don't believe in forgiveness. And I'm saying that, her redemption arc is fake. I actually said that I don't presume to know whether it's real or fake, and I would never say I have the authority on that. And I do believe that redemption and forgiveness is possible for everyone who seeks it. But that doesn't mean that you have to platform or promote someone. It doesn't mean that it's a wise decision to feature her as a role model for the young women attending that conference. So, yeah, I don't know. There's still some ongoing controversy about that.
Let's do one more.
Pop Culture Junkie said, "Welcome back, Mary. How many bags of uneaten pretzels did you bring back with you?" I don't even take them. I mean, I guess I should start taking the pretzels on the plane and bringing them back to Brett.
That would be hilarious.
You want some?
I mean, I don't want the pretzels.
I got some snacks from the airport, though, that I will be bringing you tomorrow.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. We'll come back.
right.
Let's move on. This next story is wild.
The last time that Halle Bailey was in the headlines was back in 2023 when Disney was promoting the live-action Little Mermaid movie, in which she stars as a race-swapped Ariel the Little Mermaid. Now she is in the headlines over a controversial custody battle taking place between her and her baby daddy, the rapper slash streamer DDG. And this is following an announcement back in May that she was granted a temporary restraining order against DDG in court in California. Now DDG has fired back and filed his own motion to prevent Halle Bailey from traveling with their son, Halo, outside of the country. She is currently planning to travel to Italy on Saturday, and he wanted to prevent her from taking the kid out of the court's jurisdiction, claiming that she is not mentally capable of taking care of both herself and their son. And they were providing a bunch of screenshots of text messages between the couple, showing that Halle Bailey was clearly in a distressed mental state, to say the least. There were several accounts for why he believes she's not competent to raise their child with sole custody, and he's trying to rearrange their custody agreement. So he, as of right now, has been denied the temporary restraining order by the court this morning. So Halle is free to leave the country with their child for business or personal reasons. But this was the claim in the lawsuit. He says that Halle Bailey poses an imminent emotional and psychological risk to their child. So not a physical risk. He's not saying that she is posing a real physical danger to their child. But these documents were filed on Wednesday asking for an emergency hearing because she made plans to travel with their son. The court shouldn't allow this because Halle isn't mentally healthy enough to care for herself and their child, and he worries about what she might do if she leaves the court's jurisdiction. He provided examples of the alleged conduct that he thinks is troubling, claiming that Halle once took his gun and left the house without telling him where she was going. He alleges that he ultimately found her outside, outside of their home, just holding the gun, and she was pregnant at the time that this incident allegedly took place. He also says that Halle once tried to have an abortion behind his back, but ultimately changed her mind and decided not to go through with it. On another occasion, 2 months after their child was born, he claims that Halle sent him a series of alarming text messages threatening to end her life and suggesting that their infant son might also be harmed. I went through the screenshots of that conversation, and I'll read them out now. She was texting him saying, back in March of 2024, "This is proof you leave me hanging as a mother. You don't step up when I need you to. I'm begging you. I just found out you slept with Lala in Mexico. I'm going to myself tonight. My son will not be around for it. I hate you forever. You can have him and let her be his mom." He replied, "I can't believe you're acting like this." She said, "I want to die. I never want to be here again. I hate this all. I hate this life." He said, "Please stop taking it to this extreme." She said, "I hate you. You are the most horrible person I've ever met. I wish I didn't have to fight with you, but you continue to let me down every time. But then speak about exchanging my son in a money deal for views and openly flirt and help every other woman in the world but me. You hate me and want me to die. I want to die because of you. I will die because of you." And those were all the messages that took place back in March, according to the lawsuit. And the restraining order that Halle Bailey got granted to her against DDG back in May was because of alleged abuse that she says she was the victim of. Allegedly, he slammed her face into a steering wheel and chipped her tooth when they were exchanging custody of their son. According to her story of how that went down, he showed up to her house to pick up their son. And then she jumped into the back seat when he did. And then they were getting into an argument about their visitation schedule. According to him, she was lunging forward to hit him in the front seat, and then the momentum slammed her face against the steering wheel. But the way that she told the court it happened, he grabbed her by the hair and slammed her face into the steering wheel and chipped her tooth.
He says that he was actually on the receiving end of the abuse, and he included the photos here of his hand.
There was a cut on his thumb in that photo.
Back of the thumb. And he was asking the judge to block the trip to Italy, and the judge denied that request.
He also wants sole physical and legal custody of their son, and if he's not granted sole custody, he wants all of their exchanges facilitated by a third party. So far, all of the women on Twitter are taking Halle Bailey's side, and all of the men are taking DDG's side.
Shocking.
Claiming that they have the authoritative, truth of this situation, which we obviously don't know.
I'm going to be real here. I was all in on DDG until he said that Sexy Red was a top 5 female rapper of all time, and anybody that believes that, I don't know if I can trust their judgment.
And then there were also text messages from August 2022 included in the lawsuit. I'm not sure why, because this was before they even had a child together. But he was telling her, your trust issues are becoming overwhelming. Maybe that's for the best. I put in too much time and effort to making you happy to have to deal with this BS every other day. In your eyes, you're never wrong. It's frustrating and I'm over it. I'm no longer entertaining this argument. I need to work on becoming more successful like Jay-Z, like you said. Then maybe you'll take my vision of becoming a big label owner seriously instead of shitting on my dreams every second you get.
I can just see it right now. He talks about what he wants to do in life, and she's like, oh, you think you're going to be as big as Jay-Z? And then laughs in his face.
And then she said, you don't want to be with me, that's okay. I'll never beg anyone. I will be successful. I don't need to be with someone who's going to demean me. You like that I'm insecure. It makes you feel good about yourself. I'm not doing this anymore. Keep your phone on airplane mode. But when I die, don't say shit. Don't come to my funeral or anything. F you. Be happy that these are the last texts you get from me. So more veiled sewer slide threats is the way that people are characterizing it. Other people are saying she was sending him those 2024 text messages because she was in the midst of postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, which would obviously mean she wasn't in the right mental state to be the sole person taking care of their child because she needs to attend to her own issues first. But others say that he's weaponizing her postpartum psychosis symptoms against her to demean her and take away her credibility. What I took away from this really is just the juxtaposition between the way that the media characterized her back in 2023 when she was getting promoted as a Disney princess and the reality of the situation unfolding now and the reality of her private life getting exposed. Clearly, it was all smoke and mirrors. I just think it's ironic that she was playing this race-swapped character, and all of the headlines were about how empowering this is for young girls, specifically young Black girls. And there were people recording videos of their toddlers watching the new live-action Little Mermaid movie, and people were crying over how impactful this is and how this is going to make such a difference in the lives of so many young girls to see Halle Bailey as this role model for them.
Okay.
But when you look at her reality of her life, she's clearly not a role model. It's a mess.
Court documents show that DDG submitted images proving Halle allegedly used multiple hidden air tags to track his movements, according to the Shade Room. In his mother's declaration, Tanya reported identifying 4 air tags that were secretly placed in DDG's car and home, and they said they found 1 in each of his 3 cars. The first air tag was allegedly discovered in June of 2023 in his Maybach, and Tanya claiming that it was uncovered after Bailey showed up uninvited to the movie theater while DDG was with a female friend. Tanya also claimed that the Little Mermaid star began to make threats to DDG to F him up and attempted to physically fight the woman he was out with. Everybody looks bad here.
Yeah, and that's why she also included a request for an order to stop DDG and his family and friends to stop posting on social media about their son, about the litigation between them, and about Halle on all platforms.
Yeah.
Which I agree is inappropriate. They should not be blasting this all over social media for people to make it into a story, because if anything hurts their child the most, it's this story getting exposed to the public and the child essentially being used as like a weapon against both of the people involved.
Yeah.
When it never needed to be like that.
That poor kid.
This is like, I mean, I was saying this before we started the show today. This is a bad look for Disney. Am I allowed to say that? I just feel like we used to have an idea of movie stars, especially ones that are affiliated with a studio like Walt Disney. They have a certain air of mystery about them. Of course, they are subject to morality clauses of how they're allowed to conduct themselves on a public basis. They're not allowed to post certain things on social media. And
Michael B. Jordan just shared like a conversation he had with Denzel Washington, where Denzel Washington told him to not post on social media a lot. He's like, if you want people to come see you on Saturday at the movies, why would they do that if they can see you 7 days a week online?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really good advice.
That sounds
really,
like something
really
Tom Cruise came up with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Denzel Washington's a statesman as well of the same make. So that's very, very accurate. But the problem is now is that the way that the studio system is designed prevents that, because they have to have a certain amount of followers anyways before they even get considered for a role. So you're actually forcing them into that life, even if they didn't want to do that. They're not going to hire the person who's the better actor if nobody knows who they are online, especially probably for something like a major Disney role. So not only do they have to be present to all their engagements with Disney, the brand, they also have to maintain a brand of their own. And to Disney's credit, I suppose I didn't see this stuff coming out around the time of the release of the movie. Or if they did, more credit to Disney. Their marketing team did a fantastic job of burying it.
Well, I do remember at the time of promotion for the movie and when they were attending all of these premieres, she was, flirting with her love interest who played the prince in the movie on the red carpet, and all of these fans of hers were saying, oh, I wish she would just leave DDG for this guy because he clearly treats her better. It's just funny to think about how fast things have changed, how fast our standards have changed for morality, and also, as you said, like a sort of showmanship among stars. Because back in, like, when was this? Maybe 2008 or 9, Miley Cyrus was pictured like holding a bong on MySpace. I don't even know. It was like a photo that someone took of her that got spread around the internet at the time. And she lost a huge like merchandising deal that she had with Walmart because she was smoking weed. And that was not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. But now we have an actual Disney princess in the middle of this like awful, insane baby mama drama lawsuit, and no one bats an eye because our standards have just fallen so far.
My favorite story is when Michael Phelps got caught with the bong, but nobody cared because if he can swim better than everyone and he's high.
I mean, even that's different because he's not playing a character, and especially not one that's
but
for a child audience.
But Olympians were supposed to be held to a specific standard because they're representatives of their country.
Just the orgies that take place in the Olympic Village notwithstanding.
You cannot tell me that they had a truckload of condoms backed up to that event and then talk to me about morality.
But I just think, what would be more empowering for young girls, specifically young black girls, if they're the ones who are igniting that whole conversation? Seeing the Little Mermaid be race swapped into a black character, or seeing Halle Bailey, a young black star, conducting herself in a way that is honorable and respectable, and having a normative nuclear family and being married to the father of her children.
That would be a great example.
I think that would actually make more of an impact for a young audience of girls, or specifically young black girls, if we're saying representation matters, than taking some Disney character and making them black.
I mean, they never care. That's the thing, though. Everyone knows that they don't actually care about representation.
Yeah.
They don't. They never did.
Right. I'm just saying, like, if that does matter, it would matter to her fans to see her in a healthy relationship and being married to a man who is faithful to her and their family.
Be great. Hopefully this gets worked out. But when I see text messages that say "you hate me and I want to die" from as recent as last year, like the idea that she can just leave the country and he's not even allowed a say in the matter is crazy to me.
It is rare to get denied restraining order.
I
was
mean,
surprised that he was denied the
This doesn't
restraining
shock
order.
me at all because he's a guy and she's a woman, and the courts are unbalanced in this respect.
I mean, he's likely a cheating piece of shit. Like,
Yeah, but
I mean,
that doesn't show up in the official record.
Right.
Like I said, she does herself a disservice because even if he's really, really bad, the ways in which he is really, really bad don't show up in a way that can be presented as, a piece of evidence for B in a court trial. So,
Right.
And putting air tags on your, boyfriend's, the father of your child's car and belongings so that you can keep track of him. Like, you do that, and that just adds more validity to how nuts all of this sounds.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
very hard to be like, he shouldn't have a say, because I don't have any concrete evidence that he's as bad as she says he is. Is it possible? Sure. But I'm going to go with what's tangible here, and what's tangible is the text. But the thing is also, the point I was making to you earlier, kind of what I find interesting about this is, because stuff is so easily faked now, it doesn't matter, and you're going to be predisposed to believe whichever one you like more anyways. So if you like Halle Bailey, you're like, look, I don't believe this. These could have been faked, and I just support her anyways. And if you're more inclined to think that she's the problem, you're like, see, look, all the evidence is right there. And with AI coming the way that it is right now, nothing's real anymore. There's reasonable, tangible evidence to believe that just about everything could be fake these days, so people are just going to disengage and check out entirely because it's at least plausible. So what do I know?
I am not entirely surprised to see those messages, though, because I'm sure that, you're 2 months after giving birth to your child. You're in this incredibly vulnerable state. You unfortunately chose to have a child with a man who is a total clown and isn't willing to marry you or be faithful to you. This is a distressing situation. You're at your wit's end. You might be going through a real mental crisis if you're to believe the postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis claims. So I'm not surprised that she said those things at all. And I don't necessarily think it reflects on her character now, when we're over a year after the fact.
Yeah.
She might be a perfectly suitable parent now. And she might be totally stable now. But if you're judging based on those text messages from over a year ago, you would think she's crazy and she can't be trusted.
I mean, at the very least, does it not in some way call into question his rights as a parent, that she shouldn't be able to take the kid out of the country without some type of formal agreement before she does it?
I mean, I don't really have a take one way or the other aside from just the appearances of it all. Like, because we're not going to know the truth of the situation.
I mean, I don't think either of them look good in this situation.
No, they both look terrible. But it's more important.
But right now, I think she looks worse than him. Because
It's more important for her to manage how she appears to the public, because she's a bigger star and because she's affiliated with this massive IP as a Disney princess. You're not a former Disney princess. You are always going to be a Disney princess. And this was imbued with so much pomp and circumstance and what it means for society and the culture and diversity and being visible and being seen and heard and valid.
Yeah.
And then, you peer back behind the curtain and this is what is going on. I just can't take the people seriously who were saying this representation matters when her as a real person isn't representing anything worth aspiring to.
All right, let's go some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, okay, my Catholicism is getting the better of me. What is the new holy medal? I know the miraculous medal as they stand out being oval. Yeah, I got this recently in Alexandria, I believe. There's a Catholic bookstore. They were selling medals. This is Carlo Acutis. So I think it looks nice, like paired with the miraculous medal. JJ said, just a day in the life of a leftist playing pretend with the cat emoji. Yeah. I mean, they were satirizing the furries, right? Like that hadn't.
I hope so.
That had to be
that,
fake.
or if the dude was trying to get laid, I hope that it worked.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll play along with your furry TikToks. Sure. Weary Traveler said, real cats over fake cringe lord cats. Yeah. I completely agree. Not that John Stewart said, FFS. Oh, for F's sake. OC, that was horrible. Oh, hi, Mary. Hi.
Yeah, and what she says is that every time I have her send me cringe, that it just destroys her algorithm for like 2 weeks. So she's, you haven't lived the hell she's lived.
I mean, to me, that's how I would love to curate my algorithm. I'm wondering why I'm not getting more cringe.
Let's do one more. Weary
Traveler said, dicks out for Mocha?
We'll take whatever prayers we can get, I guess.
In
the absence of Harambe, we'll take what we can get.
I hope that Mocha does not meet the same fate as Harambe.
Let's hope. All right, let's hold off on the rest. We'll come back. Let's move on.
The downfall of Pixar Studios must be studied. There was a recent viral tweet saying, what happened to Pixar? Juxtaposing one still from the Incredibles movie, showing this beautiful, happy family, 2 married parents and their children, quality time. And then on the other side, you see a still from Pixar's Turning Red, which came out in 2022. And this represents the new look of Pixar movies in general. Not only has the art style changed for the worse, if you ask most people, but also the messaging has taken a turn for the worse. You see in the first one, in The Incredibles, you're getting representation. I know that's a loaded word, but you're seeing representation of an intact family unit. We're happy together. And in the second one, you kind of see a representation of this nebulous concept of self-expression and being quirky. And if you don't remember, the story of Turning Red was about a young girl hitting puberty and menstruating for the first time. She's followed around the halls of her school by this personified version of her period, which is a giant red panda.
One of the less than stellar signs for the upcoming Elio is that on top of the $300 million budget.
Thank you.
Hold, please.
We're holding.
Dancing's back.
We're dancing.
Only Tate danced.
What? I'm so disappointed in Aiden.
Aiden didn't dance. I think he might have danced on the first day.
He just got tired of it.
Yeah. But not only is the budget $300 million and it's going to open to like $35 to $45 million, but from what they said, one of the big reasons that it cost so much is it went through multiple director changes and they settled on the director was replaced with the director from Turning Red. So.
Oh, great. Falling upwards, as always. So here were some of the responses. This tweet got up to 42 million views. And there were some people saying they were happy about the change that's taken place at Pixar, despite the, returns showing no one is interested in this new direction they've taken. One Twitter user with a hammer and sickle emoji in their screen name said, "We're coming for white people and the nuclear family. Is that what you want to hear?" So they're just fully mask off at this point.
I mean, that sounds like sarcasm to me.
I mean, I think that they're being genuine.
With like just a tinge of like, yes, but really.
Right. Yeah, really. It's just like seeing how far they can take it. Another person said, white people not understanding Turning Red because it's about an inherently non-white experience. I didn't watch Turning Red, but if I'm understanding it correctly, it was about a girl getting her period for the first time. I don't think that's an inherently non-white experience. But I guess it was considered a huge win for Asian representation or something.
Moana 2 made $1 billion. Okay?
Yeah, that's...
Lilo and Stitch is cleaning up at the box office.
Right.
Okay? Like, it's got nothing to do with that.
Exactly. And none of the themes in Lilo and Stitch or Moana have to do with an inherently non-white experience. That's the key thing to see as to why it's successful. However, there were some people saying they watched the new Lilo and Stitch movie and they thought it drained the original story of its meaning.
Yes, but that doesn't mean it wasn't successful. People were still willing to give it a chance because it's not about race.
Right, exactly. Here were some criticisms of the new art style. I believe they say it's called Cal Arts.
Yes.
I'm not some kind of animation expert, but I am definitely able to recognize it when I see it. And I hate this art style. I think you see it in Steven Universe and Gravity Falls and a lot of newer shows from like the 2010s and onward. But this person replied and said, whatever it is, I'm so tired of this crappy bean mouth art style. Their mouths are shaped like a green bean. And Quirk Chungus body language. I'm fatigued by it and just don't plan on taking my kids to any more Pixar movies until it gets better. And he included a still from Elio to demonstrate that this is just the dominant art style now.
Look, the number one thing that they were pointing out, or that people will point out, is that Pixar went steadily downhill after the exit of John Lasseter, who had to leave because of, we'll just say, under a cloud of accusations. But he was instrumental in films like Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Cars, The Incredibles, all sorts of very, very successful movies. And then, you know, the longer Disney got involved and it got bad. Another thing to remember is that in 2020, Disney wanted to push their animated movies and started releasing all of the Pixar movies on streaming. So Turning Red, Luca, Soul, I believe, was the other. I don't remember what the other one was, but
was it Encanto?
No,
Encanto
went to the theater. So 3 of them went straight to streaming, and then they embarrassed them further by then re-releasing those 3 movies in theaters like 2 years later or a year later, and all of them bombed because it just was past its time. And it was just a further humiliation.
I believe Elemental was a Pixar movie
And
that did
well.
relatively well,
So
but not amazingly.
Well, no. So we brought this up the other day, which is that Elemental had a very weak opening weekend, but much like Mufasa, clawed its way to a higher box office by having strong holds from week to week and not dropping off steadily, 50, 60% the following weekend. And it wasn't the biggest movie in the world, but it was definitely not a failure.
Since you mentioned John Lasseter, I did want to bring up that another one of the viral replies to this tweet was saying it's because they fired this sexual predator and instead started hiring women and people of color. But if you're going to say that the downfall of Pixar is the fault of women and people of color, doesn't that actually make them look bad? And, you have to give him credit regardless of the credibility of any of those allegations. Someone pointed out pretty much every good Pixar movie was brainstormed during a single lunch in 1994 when Toy Story was nearing completion. The entire next 15 years of Pixar was mapped out in one afternoon. Sometimes magic just happens and eventually it dries up.
That is an amazing thing to think about.
Yeah, and that kind of
Like
intellectual horsepower just doesn't seem to exist at Disney or any of these other companies anymore.
The guy who wrote and performed Somewhere Over the Rainbow, wrote it in one sitting and then called the studio, the guy who ran the studio at 3 a.m. to go record it and record it in one go or something like that. And that's one of the most famous songs ever. Sometimes
creativity just sparks, and sometimes it's from the wrong people. And I think this take from Mally Mouse also gets closer to the heart of the issue, which is not just the art style, but I think the art style changing actually reflects the values of these movies changing and getting worse. I miss when the message of Disney movies was family is everything or work hard, do good. Now it's always just how I feel is more important than anything or anyone. And that's the kind of value that they're trying to imbue in the children watching these movies.
There was another one from Mimetic Sisyphus. Yes. Says the writer and director from The Incredibles is a married father. The writer and directors for Turning Red are unmarried and childless. A father is able to explain the family dynamics from the POV of his son, husband, and father. A single woman can tell her experiences growing up. The story is flatter. It doesn't feel like a family movie because it's not. It's a movie about a kid. I would be willing to bet good money that a percent of the parents in the writing room of Pixar has plummeted.
There was also
Brad Bird.
I don't recall if this was a Disney animation movie or a Pixar movie, but do you remember Luca?
Luca was Disney, I think. I don't know.
I don't remember now, but that was another example of a story that kind of demonizes adults and, of course, is centered around a child protagonist.
It's a Pixar movie.
Yeah, and that movie, Luca, was generally interpreted as an analogy, or not an analogy, an allegory for growing up gay and hiding your identity and your sexual orientation from the adults in your family and being closeted, because it's this little boy who they say falls in love with a sea creature who is another child, but it's not made explicit in the movie.
One of the there's quite a few quote tweets here that are like very critical of it.
There's another take about The Incredibles specifically, saying most movies talk about how you can be anyone, not so with The Incredibles. Our heroes are literal supermen who are stronger, faster, and better. At the beginning of the floor, they're shunned by society into hiding out of petty resentment and jealousy. Do they do what society tells them to do? No. Bob is unhappy as a normal schmuck and desires greatness. He sneaks out at night with his buddy to do what he was born to do. In the office, he's shown to be a slave. His midget boss tries to bully him, and what does he do? He throws him through a wall. His wife tries nagging and browbeating him into being normal. She tries to make him conform. Does he listen? Not at all. In fact, she later turns out to be wrong about this. And then they talk about the villain in The Incredibles, Syndrome. Mm-hmm. He's a total loser nerd who uses his intelligence to make up for his lack of powers to enact his revenge on all of the heroes. He is a resentful nerd with a big chip on his shoulder because he wasn't born super. He says, quote, "And I did it without your precious gifts, your oh-so-special powers. I'll give them heroics. I'll give them the most spectacular heroics anyone's ever seen. And again, when everyone is super, no one will be. Syndrome wants to make everyone equal. He uses cheap tricks and gimmicks to try to win over the people. So what happens? Does brain power beat brawn? Nope. The climax of the movie is the genetically superior heroes publicly humiliating the villain and then throwing him into a jet engine. The end." And that says all you need to know about the character and depth of the people writing Pixar movies back in the 90s and 2000s compared to present day. They don't have the intellectual capacity or the moral framework to even write a story with that amount of truth that resonates with people, even if on the surface level they don't know why it resonates with them or why they like it so much. Mm-hmm. That is the reality of it, because it communicates truth.
This one says, John Lasseter left. Look, history has evidence that horrible people can make the best stuff. Literally, just look at how we got most of the technology and art today after World War II. Heck, you might hate your contractor, but he's the best there is at building a long-lasting house. So...
yeah. And that's what I was trying to say about Dan Schneider as well. As controversial as it was for me to say, he made all of the most successful shows at Nickelodeon, despite being a piece of shit. He was just the wrong person to be front-facing. And, of course, more was found out about him through the Quiet on Set documentary. There were other people at Nickelodeon who were leagues worse than Dan Schneider himself, who are less famous. But again, people bring this up with Harvey Weinstein as well. They make jokes about the type of leading actresses we have these days compared to back when Harvey Weinstein and his ilk ran Hollywood. there's been a clear change in who you see on screen and what they look like.
Yep.
Because I guess this like casting couch culture.
I mean, I don't even think
reportedly put to rest.
I don't even think it has to necessarily be talked about in the realm of like what they look like. But in general, there's so much content being made now, and the market has been so heavily saturated that there is a good chance, a better than average chance, that the person you're going to be watching in some role just isn't going to have the charisma or the it factor. And some of that might even be of its own design, where it's like 20 years ago, maybe they didn't even have that charisma or it factor, but just by virtue of being chosen for something in a market so narrow that you assume that they were better than they are. And a lot of times perception is reality. But now you're like, okay, there's 10. Have you seen the stuff they put on Tubi? Like the Tubi originals? It's insane. Like there's so much stuff being made, and the talent is so dispersed amongst so many different networks and streaming services and theaters and all this stuff, that you don't realize that how good you had it back in the 90s when every movie coming out was from somebody that ended up being a legend, because at that time there just wasn't as much stuff getting made.
And there wasn't this attitude that, you know, you have to give an underdog director a chance either.
Yeah.
Just because of, you know, their skin color or gender.
Well, we were even talking the other day, like I was watching, I brought it up on the show the other day, but I was watching something from Film Threat where they said, why are all these Marvel movies being directed by TV directors? Because Marvel wants to control them. They don't want to hire a visionary director who's actually got an idea for what he wants the story to be. Marvel wants the story to be what they want it to be, and that's going to be by design as cookie cutter and as corporatized as it can get, because it's being done by Kevin Feige and committee, rather than hiring a Jon Favreau or a Sam Raimi or a Shane Black in the early days of Iron Man. All of these, Kenneth Branagh, even by and large Taika Waititi, who brought his own flair to Thor, whether you liked what he turned it into or not. Like, there's just too much content. There isn't enough, there isn't enough widespread talent to make up for the fact that the stuff being made today, on top of having mediocre writing, doesn't have the talent to back it up.
Yeah, and to bring it back to Pixar, I don't think this is just a Pixar problem. That much is obvious. We watched Wish. I think that was... was Wish 2023 or...
2020, end of 2022?
I think it was end of 23.
It was the 100, yes, 2023, because it was the 100 year.
Yeah, and that was a Walt Disney animation movie, not a Pixar movie, but it was literally Marxist propaganda. It was nihilistic, atheistic, communist, Marxist propaganda for children. And the complete opposite, narrative-wise, to what I just described about The Incredibles, where Princess Asha is Syndrome. And Princess Asha is fulfilling the same role that the villain Syndrome fulfilled in The Incredibles, where she wants to force everyone to be equal.
Yeah.
And she resents the king for having power over the people and being in a position where he can decide whose wishes are granted.
In the chat, somebody said, all horrible directors and people. Well, I can't speak to, much like the discussion about John Lasseter, we're not having a discussion about whether these are great people. We're talking about whether they're great artists. And
what leeway do you give them in order to make money?
Because another one you could add to that list from Marvel is James Gunn, who is, plenty of people look back at those tweets and they're like, I don't know if I like this guy.
Yeah.
But to say that he didn't make Guardians of the Galaxy extremely relevant and then go on to even more success, Joss Whedon, the original Avengers director, who was extremely successful in television with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and going on to do so much work in Hollywood after that to take on the Avengers role as director. And look, Kenneth Branagh as a director, I don't necessarily think that calling him a bad director is accurate, though I do like him more as an actor. The point of it is that the market is oversaturated, and especially when you get to those ones who may not have the kind of intellectual capability to write and interpret art that you're going to, not just the actors, but the directors and the people writing the stories, is you're just not going to have that quality. I think a better example, and I saw a tweet about it, so I'm kind of taking from this guy's idea. I think a better representation of Pixar decline, if you were to ask the audience, would be Lightyear.
Oh yeah.
Given the change in the look of, like the dramatic change in the look of the character, the decision to change the actor from such a beloved role, that might be a more indicative, because that was actually a rebuke of Tim Allen and what the character was to begin with, to change it and give it context that it never needed.
Right. And if Pixar is going to have any sort of revival back to its former glory, they're just gonna have to cough out whatever else is on the slate from this holdover. Everyone's talking about the holdover content that was made before the vibe shift, and we're to expect a turnaround in the next few years after these studios release what they had in the hopper before the vibe shift, and then they can finally start getting back to making content people actually want to see. But honestly, I doubt that they will, because they just don't have the wisdom to.
All right, let's go. Let's go finish these super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, Olivia can never pick cringe of the day again. I will be praying for Mocha. I think Olivia's pretty good at picking the cringe, if you ask me.
She's allowed to do cringe of the day.
She did a great job. 200 Watt Studio said truck drivers have lot lizards. Sabrina is a pop lizard. Is a lot lizard, is that like just a prostitute, or
must be
like they hang out at truck stops or something? 200 Watt Studio said, I have a new song on my album called Clear White about the thrill of unprotected love and the STD test potential.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess Lord was just copying you. Nick Rogue said, glad to have you back, Mary. Hope you didn't have any Pwetzels, because that would make you a hypocrite. Yeah, I did not have any Pwetzels. Just sparkling water for me. Shane H. Wilder said, they're all horrible people. Make asylums great again.
I think that was in regards to the DDG segment.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't necessarily think that either of them should be locked in a mental asylum, because I'd reserve that for the people who are gallivanting around the streets this month, shirtless, pantsless, in front of children. Brian Bledsoe said, Turning Point USA have a men's summit called The Summit, or at least they did. It was 3 to 4 days somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
And they put it on like the worst day of the year, and it's only on leap year.
Like, why wouldn't they just call it the Young Men's Leadership Summit, though?
Well, because, men are so superior that you don't need to put men in front of it. You just know if it's a summit, it's about men, unless otherwise indicated.
I mean, I guess the best argument for that would be conservative women are a more niche audience, especially among Gen Z. Like, there are less conservative women than conservative men in Gen Z, so you would need to do specific outreach to them.
Do you think that there's like that they all have to shop at the same dress store to get their red or their blue dress that they all wear to these events? Because they're like, this is the Fox News anchor dress shop where we all shop to get the same dress.
But you're thinking of CPAC.
Yes.
That's a very different crowd. I think at the Turning Point Women's Leadership
They're
Summit,
like
you're more likely to see girls in like floral sundresses.
Is there like a MAGA Forever 21?
Well, no, because that would mean you're wearing polyester, and RFK says no. Can't be wearing polyester. Okay. The microplastics.
It's gonna get you.
Gonna implant into your skin.
It's gonna get you.
Mm-hmm. Shane H. Wilder said, act honorable and respectable. You ain't wrong, but you're asking a lot in today's world. Yeah. It's just sad because, you would expect for someone like Halle Bailey, with the whole world as your oyster, you have all the resources and opportunity and access you could possibly imagine for a woman her age. And she wouldn't end up in a horrible, gut-wrenching situation like that. But, I guess that was just her hitting the self-destruct button. Exploding Prinny said, you can buy your Sydney Sweeney soap in just over 19 hours, dudes.
Don't lie, man. You've got like a countdown clock on your phone.
So it's going up for sale by the time we're live tomorrow, I assume?
Guess so. So I saw a question online that I'm going to ask you live. I asked you it earlier.
okay.
I saw a tweet that said, why, despite the fact that Sabrina Carpenter and Sydney Sweeney look pretty much the same, why is it that Sydney Sweeney is for the girls or why is it that Sabrina Carpenter is for the girls and Sydney Sweeney is for the guys?
But I've seen so many guys simping over Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, but she's not, doesn't inherently feel that way.
She definitely has a larger female audience.
Yes.
Than Sydney Sweeney does. But
Yes.
they say Sydney Sweeney lost her female audience.
I read that and it felt like a conspiracy theory. I felt like I was seeing somebody rewrite history.
Well, okay, because it was this kind of niche show Sydney Sweeney was on before Euphoria made her more famous. I want to find out the title of it.
That niche show, The Handmaid's Tale?
Well, it wasn't The Handmaid's Tale. It was something else that I think was on Netflix. Everything Sucks on Netflix, where she played Emmeline Addario.
Of course she's in something called Everything Sucks.
Okay. Yeah, and then there was also The Handmaid's Tale. Oh, I didn't know she had a role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019.
Probably a small one.
Interesting. But people were saying Sydney Sweeney used to have a strong female following before Euphoria and then everything that followed in her career up until now.
Yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter makes music for women, though. So I feel like that makes total sense.
And Sydney Sweeney doesn't make movies.
She wants to make movies that everyone will watch. It's not just for women. Sabrina Carpenter's music is obviously targeted for women.
Deep South EDC on Rumble said Mary is back with the cringe.
Yeah. I mean, I always am. And then there's also the argument that Sabrina Carpenter is seen as more relatable to women because I mean, I don't think they're saying Sydney Sweeney and Sabrina Carpenter basically look the same. They're saying that Sydney Sweeney is significantly more attractive than Sabrina Carpenter.
That's not how I took that.
A lot of people were saying that, and they were saying, you know, Sabrina Carpenter wears pounds of makeup and Sydney Sweeney is natural. So that must mean that Sydney Sweeney is more attractive and therefore less relatable to the average woman. I disagree. I think they're both well above average attractiveness, makeup or no makeup. But music is more personal, you know, it's
I suppose.
definitely if you were talking about like the type of music that women listen to when they're like driving in their car on the way
It's a whole
to
genre
their office laptop job
to make them feel better about life.
that's more personally resonant with a female audience than just a movie that Sydney Sweeney happens to be in.
Music is also easier to consume.
Mm-hmm.
It's less of a request to ask somebody to listen to my new song than my new movie.
But people forget Sabrina Carpenter is an actress, and I think she's actually trying to branch out and get roles in movies and TV shows, or at least movies.
Eugene in the chat says, I finally saw Terminator Dark Fate, and I liked it.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take worthy of Aiden. Aiden would have given us a hot take like that.
What were his hot takes while I was
I don't think he had any hot takes this time around, and kept it pretty PG.
Good. Yeah.
For what I remember.
No incitements.
No.
Everything was YouTube friendly.
Everything was YouTube friendly, I believe.
That's good to hear. Shane H. Wilder said, Blessed Carlo, nice. I've seen a lot of icons of him, but I haven't bought one yet. He's very fitting for your line of work. Yeah, that's why I felt it was particularly appropriate to wear his medal as a podcaster. But the icons that they're making of him are kind of not my taste. They're trying to do this whole thing where he's like, you know, he's this relatable millennial saint who wore jeans and sneakers and he played video games, and all of that is true. But I I would prefer to see a more traditional portrayal of a saint, regardless of the era in which they lived. But that's just my personal opinion. 200 Watt Studio said Gunn's tweets are nothing compared to Trump and Elon today. LOL.
Did you see that? Elon says Trump is on the Epstein files.
What did he say?
I have it right.
Do you have it pulled up? What is it? What was the quote?
Elon Musk shares new post. Time to drop the real big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public.
Wait,
have a nice day.
Trump wasn't Trump on the redacted flight logs?
Yes.
He was on the redacted flight logs. We already knew that.
Yeah.
That's not like a secret. And that's certainly not the reason why the Epstein files are not being released.
Dom Lucre says, so you let a man that is supposedly implicated in an implicated pedophile babysit your son. It's not adding up. Someone isn't being truthful.
Yeah.
I did say to Mary before the show started today, I said Elon is acting like a spiteful ex.
Well, yeah, and then Ashley St. Clair tweeted, hey, at Donald Trump, let me know if you need any breakup advice. It's all so tiresome.
He in Trump terminated Elon's government subsidies. They're just
for a Tesla or SpaceX.
So it says the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy.
I'm living for the drama.
Yeah.
Have a nice day, DJT.
Yep.
Ooh, burn.
Got him.
See, IRL is gonna be fun tonight.
Either way, this is why you never evangelize or love any politician ever. Because even if it's true or not true, just don't, attach don't hitch your ride to any particular horse. They're all going to let you down.
Well, I would say that applies to not just politicians, but big tech CEOs like Elon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people were falling for that shit over the election cycle, saying Mark Zuckerberg got a haircut. That means he's based, guys?
This is my favorite. Verbal Riot says, I'm just waiting for Elon to post that he fucked Melania at this point.
No, I mean, okay, did you see that crazy story about a guy trying to break into Mar-a-Lago or something to propose to Kai Trump? Yeah. There were all of these people. I just thought this was disgusting and distasteful. There were all these people saying that Elon should, have a child with Kai Trump. Who is, 18, by the way, very recently 18, and it's just creepy.
Okay, wait. So here Elon says, in light of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately.
What does that mean?
Must be a spacecraft that they have that's for the U.S. government.
This is getting ugly. Yikes.
My anarchistic tendencies are laughing really hard.
That bromance is
it's
over.
Done. The honeymoon phase is done, guys. The hard work begins now.
Well, what's Elon's rebound gonna be?
Putin.
Well, I mean, yeah. Then who's
20.
Oh, we have a 20 from where is it?
From Jose Quintana. It says, welcome back, Ghost Empress. The world is back. The world is back on its true axis, and darkness and light retract. Empress, will you see Ballerina Overlord? You said you'd see it. Long live PCC.
You're about to see it tonight.
Yep, I am going to see it tonight. I was going to do a review. Maybe I'll just kind of give a spiel at the beginning of the show tomorrow. But I said I was going to do that with Mission Impossible, but then I ended up doing a review. So
I have not made any plans to watch Ballerina. It's not my type of thing, but I thought I was going to have more to say about Y2K. I thought that it was going to be more interesting, and it was just kind of a slog to get through. I mean, the outfits were cute.
Nina Infinity says, when you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, they tell you not to text them and say things that you can't take back. This is one of the most hilarious public breakups ever. Elon is chucking Trump's clothes out the apartment window.
Yeah. Yeah, he's slashing Trump's tires. keying his car.
Yep.
He's playing Carrie Underwood right now.
Yep.
Yikes.
But now, okay, so the other thing that's going to be hilarious now is watching all of the leftists who have spent the last however many months talking about how evil Elon is, now pretending like they suddenly agree with him and think he's not lying about something.
Wait, who?
The
Elon or
leftists.
Trump?
The leftists are going to be like, I always knew I liked that Elon guy. He is very smart. He's exposing Trump.
Oh, they think it's a pivot to the left.
No, I'm just saying that people who have spent the last 6 months talking about how Elon sucks because they disagreed with his politics when he was helping Trump are now going to be talking about how much of a truth teller Elon is and how he's speaking truth to power.
I just don't understand how he could be so naive, or if this was calculated from the very start. Because obviously the cuts made by Doge, if they didn't apply to military, Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid, we're never going to amount to $1 trillion.
Nope.
The math ain't mathing. So, and I assume Elon, being the richest man in the world, has some understanding of money.
I mean, also...
And the fact that that was never going to happen anyway.
Look, the omnibus bills always require people to end up having to... The pork barrel spending has always been the way here now for a very, very long time. And for somebody to get what they want for their local government, they're going to have to eat a bunch of crap. And this was always going to happen. And it sucks. And you should not be allowed to vote on things that are more than one thing in a bill.
It's just like, did Elon think that because he gave Trump $300 million for his campaign that he would just get whatever he wanted?
Maybe.
That's what I tried to say, actually, like toward the beginning around the inauguration. Like, there are going to be trade-offs, right? And when that trade-off didn't work in his favor, he lashed out, and this is what's happening. No Control said a men's summit would be on a mountaintop. I mean, they could hold it there.
They could do that.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, you should use your Zyn rewards. I got a metal Zyn can after 100 cans. Perfectly weighted for beating Brett.
That was rude.
I did make a Zyn rewards account, but I'm really annoyed that you can't download an app for it. I guess that's not allowed on the App Store because it's nicotine, but you have to, like, go to the browser every time to, like, put in your code.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie.
The only way we'll be able to get astronauts and supplies to the space station is to get Jeff Bezos' rockets up and running. Musk also had a contract to launch spy satellites, and Musk has a high-level security clearance.
Bezos is like, look, you can use my ships, but Sanchez has to go with you.
Didn't Elon lose his security
I
clearance?
don't know. He wouldn't lose his security clearance just because he wasn't working for just because he wasn't doing governmental work anymore. He has to have those security clearances to have those government contracts at that level.
Well, now he doesn't. If Trump was just joking about that, I guess, but wasn't Trump saying that he discontinued the
discontinuing his subsidies doesn't
contracts?
mean he loses his security clearance.
Okay. Adam said your favorite Pixar type movie.
I'm not a big Pixar person, but I do love the original Toy Story. I do.
I don't remember if this was Pixar, but I love WALL-E and The Incredibles, of course. The Toy Story movies were never really my favorite. I never really cared for them. But yeah, those would be my top two. Shane H. Wilder said, I agree. That's why I haven't bought an icon yet. It would stand out like a sore thumb next to St. Michael and St. Jude. The style of it is just too current. Omega Red fan said, bro, why are you on the list? It's rigged, Elon. What? I don't know what that means. 200 Watt Studio said Elon and Trump are reading their love letters to the neighborhood now. LOL. Yeah. I'm picturing like Elon taking all of the pictures of him and Trump and tearing them in half and like throwing Trump's half of the photo into the fireplace.
So which one of these two is DDG and which one of these two is Halle Bailey?
Yeah, they're having their own custody
I guess Trump
battle.
has to be DDG because he's DJT. Or he has to be DDG because Trump is DJT.
Rhymes.
Yeah. And Elon Musk has to be Halle Bailey, who's not Halle Berry.
Because Elon is the jilted lover.
Yes.
Right? That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Predictive
No Control
programming. Said, glad I sold my Tesla stock, down 15% today.
Damn.
Shane H. Wilder said, Y2K was just mid. I actually fell asleep. I had higher hopes for it. James Codoridis said, If she twerks, she comes with a curse. Hashtag the worst. I don't know what that means, but I think I agree. Ulvin McGoth said, can you beat Brett with a sack of frozen pierogies?
No.
That might do permanent damage.
That's rude.
Those things are heavy. I wouldn't do that.
That's so rude. Not very nice at all. 20 there from Jose Quintana. Looks like we might get that second crisis party today.
Quick review, Bring Her Back was a snore fest. No true horror, just glimpses of supposed little monsters. The Phoenician also looks interesting. As far as the Epstein list, we all know who are on that list. PCC. We're not on the list.
We all know who's on that list, period.
Okay, yeah. Don't imply anything. But we don't know who's on the list. We don't. That's the truth. Like, I wish we could confidently say that, but we don't.
Am I crazy for saying that I never expected that information to come out?
No, I never did either, and I thought it was stupid of them to promise it in the first place because they didn't have any plan on following through.
Yeah.
And then making a big joke out of it.
Yeah.
Like it's something to laugh at.
Yeah.
It's also something that the majority of people who voted Trump into office this time around don't care about.
No, there's too much stuff to figure out on the ground level that
Yeah.
And look, me and you are always team nothing ever happens, but it's actually nothing ever changes. Stuff happens all the time, nothing ever changes.
That's, I think, what I was trying to express.
Nothing
that was the spirit
ever
of the phrase.
changes, gang.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, with that and the Doge, obviously, that was another non-happening. They all said, like, what was it? Move fast and break things.
I mean, that's what people view. What's the thing they always say? He's a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever. I guess. Like, you're not going to break or move something as unwieldy and expansive as the U.S. federal government, even in 8 years. You're just not. So.
Straight Ribbon 93 said, time to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
I'm all out of bubblegum.
Where was that from?
What was that from? I always forget.
Black Panther.
No, it was not.
Adam said, you guys ever go into that rabbit hole of Pixar theory movie theories?
No.
I know about the Winnie the Pooh theory. Do you know about that one, Brett? They say that every character in Christopher Robin's
it's from They Live.
universe,
It was from They Live.
Oh.
Yeah.
They all represent a different mental illness.
I should have remembered that because it's Rowdy Piper. Sorry, continue.
Winnie the Pooh represents eating disorders because he's fat.
Yeah, but he also carried
And
a gun.
He never stops eating honey because he has binge eating disorder. Yeah. And Eeyore, obviously, he's depression. Piglet is anxiety.
Okay.
And I think that they said Tigger had ADHD. And they said that the rabbit...
Oh, no, I have heard this theory.
I think it was the rabbit. I forget his name. Maybe it was just Rabbit. He was like narcissistic personality disorder or something.
It's like putting the most like modern spin on something.
Yeah. And then I guess Christopher Robin is just schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, welcome back, Mary. Never leave us again.
Banned.
Why banned?
I took a negative connotation to that. He's being mean to me, so I'm banning him.
Oh, okay. You're banned.
You're
200
banned.
Watt Studio said Putin and Zelensky have decided to come to the table to negotiate peace between Trump and Musk. Yeah, they could teach them a thing or two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And honestly, if we're talking purely from a psychological standpoint, let's go. Purely from a psychological standpoint, it puts a hamper on Trump's ability to negotiate peace deals if he can't even keep order in his house here at home.
Right. Shane H. Wilder said the question is Mary on the FBI Catholic list? I know Seamus and I are on it. Well, how do you find out? Is there like a database for this? If I'm not on the FBI Catholic watch list, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it there. Brian Bledsoe said Glenn Powell for White Black Panther.
Yeah, he's the younger version. Actually, I don't know how much younger he is than Ryan Gosling. What, like Glenn Powell's like in his late 30s and Ryan Gosling's in his 40s?
I thought Ryan Gosling was already in his 50s.
Or is he 50?
Maybe I'm wrong. I think he's like
I thought
just
40.
shy of
I thought
50.
46, but maybe he's 50.
Ryan Gosling. Oh, wow. Oh, no. He's 44.
Okay. So
That's
he's not
crazy.
even, he's kind of in the same age range as,
Yeah.
shows how long he's been
Wait,
acting.
but why do I think of Glenn Powell as like so much younger? Does
See, I
Ryan
don't-
Gosling just not age well?
I don't, because I use that reference point that he played the banker in The Dark Knight Rises as my like jumping off point for how long Glenn Powell's been acting, which is back in 2012.
I think we're all caught up
We
on
are
the
all
super
caught up.
chats
Yep.
now.
All right, guys. Perfect timing. Before we go, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here already. Please and thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And I also wanted to mention I'm going to be making another appearance on Timcast IRL tonight. It should be a blast.
You're going to have a great time.
No, actually, I, for once, am paying attention to the news, so...
Dude, it's good. Yeah, tonight's episode is going to be wild.
Yeah, it is going to be kind of crazy.
At the very least, you'll have an interesting time doing it. That'll be good. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which always, of course, helps the channel. And if you want to follow the show on social media, Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisisPod. Mary, there's one more there.
Shane H. Wilder said, just post the clip of Shia saying, shut the F up, say Christ is Lord. That'll get you on the list in a hurry. I have had some weird interactions with unfamiliar faces that show up to the traditional Latin Mass and ask me questions. I don't know. I think they're sending out double agents. You might want to watch out for that. If you're a Latin Mass enjoyer, keep an eye out. Be vigilant.
Words to live by there, guys. With that being said, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, guys.